All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the All Things Gratitude podcast. And just like yesterday, we have another guest on the show that just makes the word gratitude in this. He just hits it dead on. So, this is great. So, he's a coaching consultant. We have a speaker. We have an author. We have an Army vet. We have a podcast host. And we're going to touch on why he trimmed his beard because it's such a great story. Everyone, please welcome to the All Things Gratitude podcast, Matt Crump. Welcome, Matt.
Hey, thanks so much, Nick. I'm so glad to be here. Finally, we get a chance to do a show together. I'm super stoked.
This is going to be great. So, you have so much going on in your life. You have stuff with Music Center. You're a man of God. You're heavily involved with that. You've written a book. You're an author. You've done you're a podcast host. You've done speaking engagements. Matt, what haven't you done, man?
That's true. I have not done window washing on skyscrapers, and that's one thing I will not do. Just like I don't blame you. Oh man, that's crazy stuff right there. I couldn't do it.
Absolutely. So Matt's out of North Carolina. So I'm out of Arizona. It is freezing here today. It's in the low 30s, which is making people kind of freak out because on the news they tell you to go cover your plants so they don't die because they're all desert plants.
Amazing. I'm looking
so there's blankets everywhere. Everything can go out.
It's 39 degrees here right now.
Oh, man.
It just went to 42. It just warmed up. Woohoo!
We'll get to a high of 60 today. But it was just so the last couple mornings have been like a little bit. So it's been interesting. I know it's cold over there, and I was in North Carolina a couple times for work, and we didn't get a chance to meet up. It was so crazy the times I was there. It was like
I was hoping that I would get that Nick Dorsey tour guy coming by, and we could have seen each other then. But whatever.
I'll make my way out there again sometime, so it'll be great. So anytime you're out here, come out to sunny Arizona.
Man, I love Arizona. Beautiful state. Beautiful.
Can't beat the weather out here, man. Except for when it's 115 straight days, but
something else too.
That's what a pool's for. So,
that's
anyways,
right.
Matt, let's get into where this all started for you. The journey goes way back. Music's a big part of your life. When did music come into your life? When did you want to own like a music center and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, you've opened a big can of worms there. So, yeah, that's right. Well, I'll just go a little bit into my story then. Music's been a part of my life for a long time. I think that, I've been playing the guitar now for over 40 years. My dad played the guitar and had some aunts. Some aunts and uncles. Yeehaw! I had some uncles that were playing. Could have been aunts, but it was part of our roots in the family. A lot of folks that played music, and it was around me. And I loved music. Still love music, and I've been playing the guitar and now play other things as well. But I'm also a singer, so singer-songwriter. So that really started at an early age. I never fully was able to connect with some things in my life as a child. I was just having difficulties. I was angry and frustrated about things in my life. And started smoking cigarettes at around 10 years old. And by the time I was 13 years old, I was really frustrated with a lot of things in life. And I decided to go up to my room and put a plastic bag on my head and wrapped it up with tape. And I was about to commit suicide. And really kind of at the last minute when I got to the point where I couldn't breathe anymore and I was really starting to get hurt, I ended up ripping that plastic bag off my head so I could breathe. And now I feel like in my life, I understand what it feels like to be suffocated, right? And you just want to breathe. And that was that moment at 13. I realized I didn't want to die. I just didn't want to live the way I was living. Fast forward a little bit, I started doing drugs and a lot of alcohol. And then I joined the military and went full-fledged into being a drug addict by the time I was in the military, oddly enough. And then one time I was Matt Crump, who's the life of the party guy. I lived in a bachelor pad with a jacuzzi and all that kind of stuff, right? Go figure. I got stuck in the desert with another friend of mine on guard duty for a week. It was just the two of us. Here's Mr. Party Animal stuck with a former drug dealer and a born-again Christian. I'm like, holy cow, I'm stuck with a Christian for a week in the desert, right? Sounds like a joke get ready to hit, right? So we did have some conversations. He shared some great stuff with me, and it was a lot for me to process at the time of my life. And it was within a matter of another week or so, we were in another mission, and we ended up, I really wanted a friendship with him. He was kind of staying distant from me, told me he couldn't be that kind of a friend to me the way I wanted because, we were two different types of worlds. And finally, we had a conversation, and we walked up to a mountain away from everybody. And literally in this mountain that night, I don't know if you've ever been in you're in Arizona, so have you ever been in a desert where there's no light pollution?
Oh, yeah.
And you can see a bazillion stars in the skies. It's the most gorgeous thing you've seen. And it was a full moon. So we stood on top of this one mountain peak, and literally the moonbeam was hitting where we were standing. I'm the guy that had a mountaintop experience. And that's where I ended up changing my life, and I gave my life to Christ, which changed everything for me. Then, of course, Gulf War hit, so was served during the war. And shortly after I got out of the military, I wanted to come back in as a chaplain. So I got my MDiv in theology and biblical counseling. And within that period of time, realized that I wasn't going to be going back in the military. I stayed as a civilian and worked as a pastor, as a missionary. And then I sang and had a recording contract and traveled around the world doing some music with a record label. Back then, I was doing dance and trance music and worship, which was pretty wild. And in the meantime, yeah, it was pretty wild. Like I did it because it was what I could get my foot in the door in to get the record deal. But then at the shows, I would do all this hip hop, trance kind of stuff, and then and technical audio electric music. And then I would throw in a bunch of worship too. It was really a really great opportunity for me to do that. I got to see some great places as a.
Oh man, it looks like we froze, Matt. Oh. Well, while we wait for the technical difficulties to come back, now Matt has a great story, and I'm glad he's sharing it with us. He's just an inspiration, and hopefully, here he comes. There you back, Matt?
There we go. Yeah, I'm at my internet, but thank the Lord I've got a cool phone, so I just jumped onto my phone internet instead. So I was saying, by that time I was in the coming through the military stuff, I started to do a different business. I started my first real business in town. And through that time, I've owned about 3 different businesses. I've had around up to about 300 employees between them all. And then moving forward to 2015, I first got cancer in 2011, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then in 2015, I went stage 4. At that point, I had my music store, and we closed down the retail location at that time. And within a matter of about 2 months from closing the store down, I was medevac to Duke with a bleeding brain tumor with about 24 to 48 hours to live if I didn't have surgery. And had that emergency surgery to remove that was bleeding out in my brain and remove that tumor. And I've had lots of surgeries and treatments and trials and radiations and all kinds of things that I've been going through for the past 5 years of my life with the stage 4. So that kind of brings me up to today. And of course, in the midst of that time, I've been a coach and a counselor, and I do branding and marketing. I do all kinds of fun stuff. And I try to just lump that all into who I am today for folks. So when they hire me as a coach or a consultant, they get all those things that I've had in my life to bring to the table to really help people overcome obstacles and to live into their dreams by achieving their goal and live an abundant life.
Matt, your story is just very inspirational. And for people who don't know Matt, his beard was pretty long for a long period of time. And, we were talking about it in the green room before this is when he got some good news about his health, he made this post and, he kind of teased everybody on what was going to go, had his family involved on the next post and everything. And it was a tearjerker, Matt. I'm not going to lie. It was just so awesome to see it because you know what? Things happen in life and everything, and you want good things to happen to good people. And, you're good people. And just hearing that, I knew it just affected a lot of people. So maybe
it was a powerful moment for me, and to be able to do some of that, I felt it was just so important to share that moment. And then when I cut the beard, literally I did that on video with you all, and I wanted you to experience that moment with me. And it was it was a very powerful moment for me to make a stand and make a proclamation. And I won't give the middle finger to cancer, but I was doing that a little bit with what I was doing, saying, you're not going to take me. It's not going to happen. I've got other things planned down here. I know God's got a plan for my life. So goodbye.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I agree with you on that. I'm a firm believer in, God knows what road we're on. Obviously we have to do some work to get to it, but he's leading us down a path, and, and I believe, I have to fully believe in what he's doing for me is best for my life down the road. And when you're in the moment, it doesn't
feel so good, right?
It's not right. But,
Yeah.
when the moment's over with, and everything's all said and done with, you look back on it and realize, one, it wasn't really as long as it seemed while you're in the moment. And number two, I'm here. This is why I'm here. This is why I made it this far, or this is why the direction I'm going. So, I'm big about that. Like right now in the world's really weird, Matt. It's really weird right now, and we're all having a hard time.
The world's weird. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. But when everything's done with, we're going to look back at it and say, it really wasn't that long of a period of time. It was just when you're in the middle of it, it seems like it takes forever because you're just anxious. We're Americans. We're just go. I always use the story when Arizona locked down for like 3.5 weeks back in, I want to say April, into April, somewhere around there. And then when we reopened, we went out to eat. And I remember telling my wife, I go, we don't have to go out anymore. And she's like, huh? And I go, it was just because somebody told me I couldn't do it. It was that mindset that was just stuck in my mind, It's not a big deal anymore. Now it's like, okay, whatever, but it was just a point. It felt like you lost your freedom, and that's what we're built off of. So,
it feels like I'm trapped. A lot of times it feels trapped. And that's a lot of times in our lives we feel trapped, and sometimes we're trapped by our own demise, and other times it can be some outside sources. And what do you do during those times? We can be complacent, or we can make a difference and do some things. And it's hard. That's one of the things I'm trying to work with folks now during COVID time. It's just, we're still stuck. We're still kind of those places. It's so important to have a moment where you can identify with who you are, what you're doing, what your call is, your passion, and live into it. There's no better time than now. I wonder where he went. Well, maybe we're waiting on Nick. I wonder if we're waiting on Nick or if I'm here. I think I'm here. I think his camera went off or something. Well, if I'm still on air, I guess I will continue to say that it's so important during times like this, since we're talking about how weird the world is, to really understand and value really who you are. And sometimes it's hard to see that through the clouds. Sometimes it's hard to see that through the uncertainty. And to really gain focus on what that is and have clarity on those things are really where it's vital the most. Attitude got to come back. Oh, it's almost back.
That was me.
Yeah. He's back. I was talking while you were gone, so I'm glad I was live. We were still talking about what it feels like to be trapped in those moments and complacent. But I'm glad that you weren't so complacent. You're probably sweating your tail off to get back online, weren't you?
I'm like, ah!
We're live, folks. We're live.
Hey, we're live. Hey, Ron's cybersecurity. He might be able to help us out with our internet issues right now. So
yeah, something happened there. Stuff.
Actually, I have a friend right now who's, they're really struggling with what's going on in the world, personal and all that stuff. And, and the big thing I say to them is make sure you get with your loved ones and you surround yourself with what I call from The Hangover, your wolf pack, and make sure they're just there and just rely on support with them, because those are the people who truly love you. And those are the people who are going to get you through these hard times. You got to surround yourself. Like, my family's been huge for me, because there's been times where I'm just like, oh, it's been tough.
Even with my case, dealing with cancer and all the stuff I've been through my life, It's not easy for folks at home. When one person has cancer in a family, the family has it. It's a deal that we all have to deal with together. And there's so many things that I was going through physically, still am, mentally, whole nine yards. So it's extra weight, extra work for folks when you have to care for someone. And my wife worked all day, and then she'd have to care for me at night, on the weekends, different things she'd have to do to make up the slack for my problems and things I was dealing with, and still sometimes do. It takes a lot of work, and I'm very, very grateful for my wife and my kids and my family who have been there for me and still are to help me get through things I'm going through. So it's important to value those moments and not get so used to them that we forget how valuable they are.
Absolutely, and that's one thing I really value with like my mom. My grandma, my grandpa, and my aunt, it was like a 20-year period where they were all sick. They couldn't take care of themselves. My mom was working, coming home, cooking us dinner really quick, making sure we got our homework done, going out, taking care of all them for all those years. And I never could figure out how she could do it, but it's just like with your wife and your family, it's just the love you have for those people drives you. And it just amazes me how people are not even willing but just want to do that stuff for other people and basically put their life on hold. And I look at my mom and I'm like, she's the strongest person I know, just because that was during our teenage years, that was during me and my little brother's teenage years. So I'm sure we weren't easy. Yeah. So, it was just, and I give all credit, Matt, to your wife and your family for what they've done for you too, because that's just, I don't know all of it, but what you've posted, what you've said, and how you portray them is just, they're just seem like an amazing human being. So, kudos to them, Matt.
Yeah, they really are. I'm really grateful for that, and thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So, Matt, you changed to God, and you said that's been a huge thing for your life, back in that mountaintop, back in the desert and everything. What is your, continuing on with life and going down the road, what do you want to do with God? What do you want to maybe preach or put out there for people? How do you want to help people see what God can do for you and what God can do for us and help us out in our everyday lives?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, first of all, I'm alive. That's a big statement. First of all, I'm very grateful that he has been able to do what he's done in my life. He paid a price for this healing, and I'm grateful. There could be arguments out there. Some like, well, yeah, Matt, he did that for you, but he did it for my dad or my brother or my husband. I understand that. We do live in a fallen world and bad down. And there's really no reason or rhyme to some of that stuff, except we have a broken planet and we're broken people. And I'm very grateful that I had an opportunity to find someone that can help me put the pieces of my life back together again. And he has been that whole time. In that relationship that I have with him, some of the ways that I incorporate that into what I do. First book, which is called God's Got This, is a book of a bunch of different. There may have been circumstances or situations in your life where you're like, what the heck was that all about? Or some things that happened that you don't even realize happened. There was a reason for it. Like everybody says, there's a reason for everything, right? So this book helps you to understand what that reason is. That's what I call a God's Got This moment. And I give up in the book, there's 3 tools I offer about reflect, receive, and respond. And there is a journal at the end of each chapter for people to work through as they go through the story I provided to help spark maybe a thought in your life and process that through the tools of you to try to find out what that moment might really have meant, right? So for me to say God's got this means I don't. So I've been able to try to apply those principles and values plus other things I've had in my life all into what I'm doing now. So with coaching, consulting, speaking, things of that nature, I'm able to share with people things about how to overcome obstacles, right? How to achieve a goal, how to have personal development, how to have a mindset, how to have mindfulness, right? How to do all these different things that we're talking about out on the planet that I can bring us to through my life actions and experiences. Now, far from it. Made plenty of mistakes, and I'm probably going to make a lot more. But I always know what not to do. So I can really teach you the opposite of that pretty easily, so you don't make the same stinking mistakes but I progress. So I'm happy to learn all the time with some great teachers. Just try to apply all those principles what I'm in my coaching, consulting, and business work. I'm passionate about business because I've been an entrepreneur in business many years, and there's a lot of things I just love about it. I love the process. I love the sales. I love the behind the scenes thing. So there's a lot of things I love to do that can be help businesses to grow. That's how I kind of apply that in there. And of course, I got my new book that should be coming out, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. I should have this new book out hopefully before Christmas. So
Awesome.
called Success Begins on the Inside. Yeah, Success Begins on the Inside is the name of that book. And I'm hoping to have it available here shortly. And hopefully that'd be a good blessing for folks to really dig into some of the things that I found that are principles from other successful people in the world and from experiences I've had in my life. And I've written all those into a bunch of prints that people can look at. There's over 200 of them in the book. It'll give you some nuggets and some opportunities to help find some inspiration and play can be successful in life too.
Fantastic. That's awesome. I mean, I wish you all the luck on the launch of the book, obviously, and everything, and looking forward to seeing it come out. So will that be available on audio too? Or are we just doing paperback and hard copy?
I'll do audio, yes.
Okay.
I'm going to do it on audio. I'll make it just available as an ebook right away so folks can have it.
Awesome.
I'll put it up on Amazon and do the whole audiobook thing too, first of the year.
Cool. So let's say I'm a business owner and I call you and I say, Matt, I want you to come speak in front of my company or in front of leadership and everything. What is the one thing you really enjoy speaking to people and companies about? What is the one thing that that's what you want to do every time when you do a speaking engagement? What is that one thing you like to highlight?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me is about belief, believing in yourself, believing in what you're doing. So that encompasses a lot. And of course, there's so many different facets that a company would want to bring somebody in to speak for. And I've got a laundry list of what those speeches might be. But at the end of the day, I'm still passionate about a few things, and that's really overcoming obstacles, achieving goals, and living a life of abundance. And I have a new tool that I've created called the APC, the Abundant Profit Culture tool. And that's really about how to introduce the abundance profit culture into a business and or your own life. And I'm really passionate about helping other people see it, because a lot of times you work for a company and you are sales guy 1275, and you're getting a draw on your salary, plus you get a commission for 10%, 12%, 15%, 16%, whatever. You're going to be driven to make some sales because you need some money. But if you have buy-in with the company, you have part of that abundance culture, that profiting culture in the business, and the business is all about that. It changes the drive and direction of somebody, even at that level, that might not be making might not be a six-figure executive. But if it can be an even spread, and people can understand how that profit affects everybody, it makes a big difference. So there's that, back to belief again. So there's a lot of those things I love to speak about with belief, dealing into those areas of goals and achievement and abundance.
It's just I love belief, because it is true, and and me being a leader, that's one thing I like to try to really instill into my teams. Believe in what you're doing, believe in the system, even though we don't like it. It's how it is. So let's make it good for us. What can we do to make it great for us?
And that's the abundant culture I was talking about, because abundance isn't always about money. So what you just said was an example to some of the things that I teach with abundance APC tool, the abundant profit culture, is having that buy-in, feeling like, what, let's do this, right?
You know how you get somebody's buy-in really quick, teams? You treat them like humans. You don't treat them like numbers. That's the biggest buy-in right there. If you can get that, you got a team. And I was taught that very early in my managerial career. I was coming up the line, is just treat everybody treat them like you wanted to be treated coming up the line,
Right.
It's been so successful. So I love that. That is great, Matt. So awesome with that. So crazy world, holidays coming up, New Year's coming up. Do you have any?
Yeah.
What have you sat down and made your goals yet for 2021? Because I don't know if you could even call our goals for 2020, if you could even count them.
I know, man.
You had one major one. Which was amazing. So we're gonna give no discredit that whatsoever. Obviously, that's
I'm very grateful.
The main one for life.
Well, that puts me in a new perspective for 2021 myself.
Yeah.
And here's the reality. I was talking about this. I did a live, I think yesterday, but because there's been so much uncertainty with COVID, and because there are spikes happening again right now, there's still this kind of feeling going on, and it makes it very difficult to be productive with what you want to accomplish, because you just don't know. And so the same thing with consumers. Like we're consumers too. Like we just don't know. It's like, now I know I can go to Walmart and buy something. I know I can go to the grocery store and buy something, right? And can do that kind of stuff. But when it comes down to other things, extra things, or larger purchases, or businesses ordering, or B2B, B2C type stuff, right? Then there's this thing. So I think it's so valuable for folks to understand that although this year is almost over, that in just a couple of weeks, we have an opportunity to make a big splash and a big difference into a new year. But you can't do that if you're not prepared. So I think like first quarter's coming up, you got January. So those 3 months in the United States, it's usually a deader season, January and February, because people are all shopped out and spent out from Christmas, and they're not buying not as much activity. But then there's some ramping up that happens because people start advertising, because we have this thing called tax returns that start happening in March and April, and people start throwing out the cash again, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's so valuable right now to continue considering what you're going to be doing for your first quarter, because your first quarter is going to set your entire year. So if you're just kind of waffling, don't know, you don't have clarity, you're just kind of yourself, then your whole 21 is going to be as well. That's the year you want, then you're going to get what you want. But if you go in with some intentionality, have some great, clear, and concise plans for what you want to do, it makes a big difference. And so a lot of folks don't really know; they're not quite sure. And some of those that are doing things, I'm doing something I've been doing for a long time, and I'm still moving in that direction. The only difference for me, like when it comes down to speaking gigs, I'm not going to be able to get a ton of speaking gigs. I can't travel overseas right now to do any speaking engagements at all. So that puts a big closure there on opportunities for me to do things as a business, to make some money, to get more exposure, things of that nature. So when you can't do that, okay, does that mean you just don't do anything, or do you do something different? So what are the options? And you have to really dig into what those are. And now there's lots of virtual events, and there's other events you can create. There's things you can do. So one of those things, you got to be creative and be innovative during times when it feels like you're spinning a.
Oh, there you are. Are you back? Keeps going in and out. Yeah, it just did a little bit, but we got everything you said there. So I was just making sure you're done before I said something. So I agree 100% with you, and I also think it's a good time to have a plan B, or try to at least establish that. One thing I'm doing is I'm working with Impulse Consulting, and they're like a plan B for me. Just in case, because we don't know what's going to happen. Still, we really don't. So. Building those relationships with other people, can even turn into a business venture somewhere. Depending on how you guys communicate and talk, and maybe a good plan comes up. But I think it's good to have a plan B going into next year too. And, with these vaccines, who knows how it's going to go. For my parents who have health issues, they're actually on the list to get it early in January, which is great, but we don't know if they're fully going to work, so you can't fully rely on that right now either, because it's going to take a couple months after that for us to find out, so, as much as we want this to go away, it's not going to not going away fast. It's going to be here for at least 5 or 6 more months, you know, while people are getting all this stuff. So what are we going to do in that period of time? You know, what are we going to do? It's not maybe take advantage, but, you know, we have a lot of people are working from home, or some people, you know, are, you know, looking for another job. You know, this is the time to figure out all this plan B or these other things. Maybe my life needs to go in a different direction. Maybe at the moment this sucks, but maybe this was the calling for me saying, okay, I wasn't down the right road. I need to change tracks and go down another road, you know? So, I mean, for a lot of people, this is going to work out good for some people. You know, I know some people got laid off and furloughed, started their own businesses, and stuff's better for them now. So, you know, it's just, but they would have never done it if this would have never happened. So it's kind of a situation, you know, it really is. There's positives.
Yeah, I've got some friends that are really killing it right now, doing fantastic. And it's like, man, how in the world, right? And then some other friends that are just like, hey, do you know anybody hiring? I need a job. You know, it's like, wow. Yeah, there's a big vast difference. And again, you have to be very intentional. Whether you're self-employed or you work for another company or you're unemployed looking for a job, you know, you got to be proactive and you got to be focused on how it's going to happen. And maybe if you've been trying for 8 months to get the job as I don't know, whatever. Let's say you're a machinist, you work at a machine shop or something like that, specialty, and you can't find a job. But then maybe you need to look for a job as maybe a forklift operator, something instead, right? I mean, got to find something that would work. Otherwise, you're just not going to have anything. So you got to be creative with what your skills are, you know.
And you got to bridge that gap a little bit in the middle. You have to. And this is a good time to find a new skill set. This is a good time to just open your mind. You know, before this, I was in manufacturing. Jobs were everywhere. They were everywhere. Plane sales were up. They're building rockets everywhere. They're doing all these stuff, you know, do space stuff, you know, we're relaunching space, you know, things are great. Then COVID hit, 737 MAX got put out of production. Airlines, you know, went down to half their fleet. They shut down half their fleet.
96% loss in revenue in airlines this year. 96%.
And that's unreal, you know. And me working in manufacturing and aerospace before, I can only imagine. I mean, I talked to my old company, you know, with some of the relief they got for wages and everything. They're going to be all right. They said through the end of this year, but it's next year that they're worrying about. It's not this year because, you know, that relief packages aren't going to be there. And are these airlines going to keep buying planes like they were? Are they going to get 20 planes a month? Are they this airlines, that airlines, and all this stuff? So, you know, people think they made it through it right now, but you got to realize what's going to happen in the next year. Is those sales going to continue, or are they going to come back? And that's the great unknown right now. That is the real great unknown. And
it's quite tough. And everything dominoes, right? So when it's the airline industry is down that bad, then you've also got the hotel industry is down. You've got entertainment industry down. Event industries are down. All these little things, that food services are all down. So all these things just kind of start piling up, and it's so exhausting on our communities.
It is. And then you look at it, Matt, is like, okay, are people going to be scared to do public transportation? So are more cars going to be bought, which is going to raise gas prices because there's going to be more demand for gas. There's going to be more traffic. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can view this and look at this. And it's going to be interesting these next 6 months. It really is. And I don't know if it's good or bad, you know? So it's like one industry is going, like you said, you have some friends. One industry is going to take off. And another industry that has been very reliable for years is really going to level off or go down, you know? So so, I mean, this is a good time for all of us.
If you're prepared, like you said, that's like you said, but if you're prepared, you should have an intentional goal and strategy, and there's nothing wrong with having a backup plan. And it's important to have that backup plan because if the rug does pull out, it could very well happen. Look what happened, you know, in February, March of this year.
Yep.
You know, I think that's some of the benefit that we could have learned from COVID in business is my one thing, the only thing I'm focused on, which isn't a bad thing, or do I have another plan? Not because I don't think the first one's going to work, but anything could happen. Anything could happen. And what if you get hit by a car, you become paralyzed? I mean, that sounds horrible. What if you get stage 4 cancer like me? That sounds horrible. You don't plan for stage 4 cancer. You don't plan to get hit by a car, and everything changes.
Yep.
Those backup plans in place are very valuable. I think one good lesson that we could have learned from.
I think another good lesson we can learn too is this is a time in the world where we can really show a lot of gratitude and empathy and come together as people, and find those true people that we can work with, and not always be it's me against the world or, I'm on my own, I mean, times like this is when we need to come together and really work together and have a solution for things or try to make a solution. And I think that's where we come back to where God comes into it, having a strong faith and a belief, in him and in something that can bring us all together and believe in your fellow human being and believe in your neighbor, believe in your family. I think that can really help us go a long way. I think we've lost that for a couple of years, well, the country's lost it for a while, but it's nice, we need that to come back. I really do. And people will disagree with me, but I believe God needs to be in school. God needs to be around us. Prayer's okay. I truly believe in a lot of that, but I'm probably going to get trolled now for it. But, it is what it is. It's my opinion. It doesn't
That's right.
You have to agree with it. I mean, it just
listen. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen. You're right. I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at school areas, when God was in the school, in the sense of, prayer and the thought process around it, the discipline, the lives that were lived back then that way. Not that there weren't problems, because there surely, but there was a different result, and those results have changed dramatically over this period of time. Things have changed in our homes. Obviously, the homes aren't the same. There's a lot of differences there, but one thing's for sure: it can't hurt. I mean, it could make things better, right? So it's like, but they fight things so hard. So there's just too many differences out there now to actually see something like that occur. But there would be a big, great benefit in having a unified effort to do something together.
Mm-hmm. Right. I agree, and me and my wife were talking a little while back, and this kind of goes along that way. It's like the smartphone. I call it the greatest invention ever, but I call it the worst invention ever. Because we'd drive around where we used to grow up and everything, and there'd be no kids out playing. And I remember that's all. I mean, you had to keep us from not coming into the house because we wanted to be outside all the time. We only had 13 channels. I'm aging myself, but we only had 13 channels on TV. I mean, unless you had the black box, you remember those? that you could unscramble all the channels, but then there's only 20 channels. So I mean, it was out playing, out doing all that stuff, nothing on phones, and then that came along and that kind of changed the aspect of things. And then we're using it right now, social media, but social media is, if you use it for business, it's great, but man, it takes up a lot of your time because you can get drawn into that drama and you don't realize it's a couple hours later. It's like, and you could have spent that couple hours with family. You could have spent that couple hours with friends, or doing something else productive. So it's just, but at the same time, when I was in manufacturing, I used to tell everybody, you can Google or YouTube $1 million machine and fix it right there. You can watch a video and fix it really quick without calling the man in. So it's just positives and negatives. So just interesting how the world has evolved, and this is within 20-25 years. This is a quick thing. We're having technical difficulties today. So it's been a great podcast, but it's just been a little tough on the technical difficulties. Are you back, Matt? I can hear.
Yeah, I was here the whole
okay. Yeah, you froze on my
time.
End, so.
I could hear you the whole time.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good.
I could hear you the whole time. I think I might have been there, but it might be. I've seen your. I've seen your side cut out several times too, so I don't know what's going on. But for the last, we're live,
Might just be a bad
folks.
day. Yeah, it's like I told, it was the freeze that happened here in Arizona that screwed everything up. So we're not used to it. So, but anyways, Matt,
maybe you can't hear me.
I can hear you. So, hey Matt, let's schedule a live and do a live too, so we can continue some of this conversation. So we're not continuously cutting in and out. Does that work for you? I hope you can hear me. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, it might be.
I'm here. Are you there? Well, Matt, let's schedule a live. I'll get a hold of you, and we'll schedule another live, and we don't have to do a podcast. Maybe we can get through that without technical difficulties.
Yeah, your lines are all frozen or something out there. They're too cold to do the internet.
Yeah, it's too cold. Yeah, I mean, they're only down like a foot in the ground probably. So, hey, Matt, I want to say thank you for being on today. Sorry about the internet issues, but your story is amazing. Please, everybody, go find Matt and follow him. And you need any speaking engagements, any coaching, want to check out his books, check out his podcast, please go find Matt on LinkedIn. He's great. You'll see him all over. You'll see pictures of him. You'll see his beard. It'll all be there. So if you can hear me, Matt, is there anywhere else they can find you? Yeah, we're going to have to find Matt on LinkedIn. Come find me. I will get you all the information out to him, all his books and all that stuff. So everybody, thanks for joining us today. I'm sorry about the difficulties, but you know what? Look up there in the corner. Oh, we lost him. Look up there in the corner. That's where you can find me on LinkedIn. Oh, Matt is back. Boom.
Yeah, StreamYard it kept saying something with StreamYard, then it said, oops, something went wrong, and I said, yeah, it did. So then I clicked back in. So I heard you the whole time. Sorry about that. It's just goofy.
No worries. Yeah, let's set up another one where we can do a live, and we won't do a podcast. Maybe the podcast is killing it right now. But let's set up another time, Matt. It's great hearing from you. It's great hearing your story. Like to get one where we don't have any interruptions, so we can get more free flow. But I mean, we've had some people watching us, which I appreciate. There's been more comments put on the post, so that's been good. I just appreciate you, and appreciate your family, what they've done for you over the last 8 or 9 years. It's just been it's been a battle, and I'm so gracious that we're able to be on the show today and talk about the positive sides of it now, and all those great stuff. I mean, it's just great to know you, and
I appreciate that.
Where can people find you? Find your book? Find where they can sign up for a speaking engagement? Where can they find you?
Easiest place, of course, here on LinkedIn, and or if you're watching on LinkedIn today, and or on my site at Matt Crump. My name, mattcrump.tv. Pretty easy to find me there.
Books on Amazon?
Yeah, books on Amazon. So you can just Google Matt Crump or God's Got This, and you'll find me on. Well, it's on all the bookstores. So I'm on maybe 25 or 30 different sites online right now. So it's pretty easy to find. And the new book will be available. I'll do a launch on that one here on LinkedIn, hopefully by next week.
Awesome.
Well, I'll do it on social media launch, and then we'll do a larger launch first of the year when I do the whole voice thing and stuff like that with the audio book and whatnot.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. Hey, everybody, please follow me up there in the corner. Follow me on LinkedIn.
There he is.
You can find me on YouTube too, Nick Dorsey Leadership. You can find all the past episodes. God, we are approaching 40 now, so that's really cool. So pretty excited with that. So come find us. I really enjoy doing these. Matt, thank you so much for coming on today. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I mean, it does happen, but I'm glad we made the world about it. It's just perfect for 2020, right?
Yeah.
it's just going. Hey guys, tomorrow on the show I have Rob Deptford. one of our friends from up north, up in Canada. Great video editor and producer and everything. So come check that out tomorrow at noon Mountain Standard Time. One thing, Matt, if I'm not able to talk to you by then, have a very Merry Christmas. Wish your family the same, and Happy New Year. And
thank you,
man. I'm just so blessed that we can sit here and talk today, and
yeah, me too. Merry Christmas to you and yours too, Nick. So. I'll be at Duke all day tomorrow. I'll be at the cancer center. I've got to go in for my brain work and get scans. They're going to check to see that my brain's clear tomorrow. So I'm nervously excited. I get to go there. I'm expecting good news, but every time I go there, there's always a sense of, so it's going to be a long day. I'll be there from like 10 in the morning till 10:30 at night. So it's going to be a long, long day, but I'm looking forward to going there and getting it done and getting good news.
Well, one thing I do say is I do not care for Duke sports teams, but that is one of the best medical facilities in the nation. So yeah. You are being taken care of.
I am. I'm grateful for it.
And number 2, we'll say a prayer for you, and God bless you, Matt.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate the time, buddy.
Yep. Have a great day.